All right, take two. Sorry if there's an echo, but the planes are flying overhead right now for all the tourists coming in, largely tourists coming in. So I had to close the garage door, unfortunately, because it gets rather hot in here. I had done a ritual earlier today for Xiao Dong, and unfortunately my face was visible, and I did it in front of a front lit window, full-size window, so I was visible all over the place, and I just wasn't comfortable. So instead, we're doing a ritual today. I need photos for Pele's grimoire, and the first real spell similar to this is the warming spell. And the warming spell is usually used for thawing relations, budding love, or at least attraction, kindling some romance and things like that. You can use it on older relationships too, which would kind of apply to me, because I've been with the same person for about 20 years now. So I don't have a lot of use cases for this in my personal life, but I do have one right now. In unconventional usage, for sure. Pele wanted me to point that out, because I've already asked if she was okay with me using it like this, and she was. So why would I feel like I need to ask if I know, the sorts of things this is used for? Because this has to deal with my cat. All right, so we have 3 cats, and 2 of their test results came back within time. The others, just the numbers were too low, and so she had to go for another round of testing, and so there are some time limits that are placed on that. And so I did a ritual the other day to get the results processed as soon as possible and to get them put into the system as soon as possible. And that did happen. That happened about 2 days. Within 2 days, it was they were posted and into the system. But that there's a 30-day time period from testing until release, regardless of the result. And well, as long as the result numbers are good. Otherwise, they're going to stay for up to 4 months. So we have the proper test numbers, but the timing is not so good. So I'm going to go ahead and use Pele's warming ritual to kind of thaw and maybe help. I don't want to say burn away, but that would kind of be a Pele thing if she decides that would be good. But I need it done. I need my cat released from quarantine, and I need it done legally. I don't want some storm coming in that's just going to break our cage open, because that doesn't give me my cat back, right? And I don't know that, I don't think Pele would do that, but just in case there's an overzealous spirit that's also listening that wants to help, I needed to state that it needs to be done legally. So I thought, hey, why don't I just go ahead and show my process for sigilizing these requests if I'm not using names, right? If I need 2 names together, then I'll draw some arrows linking them and things like that. And I'm pretty sure that's what my other example videos were like, but not so much, not the same thing here. So now, as you can see here, I did another one earlier this week for Hi'iaka. So I have some pictures from a Hi'iaka ritual to put into Pele's grimoire. Now I'm going to do Pele's. And it's not much different than just standard sigilization, and so I'm essentially going to take out all duplicate letters on here. I do keep vowels. I don't think it really matters personally, because once you start doing things like this, where things are hidden within things, it's really not going to. The vowels really aren't going to much matter. They just make it look a little bit more curvy sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the extra letters, and then I'll show you what's left, and then I'll stop, and then I'll show you the resulting symbol. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? You can fast forward if you want. So we've got FREMYCAT, FROMQ, odd use of Q. U, give an A, R, already have A, N, T, I and an E. Okay, now legally is probably just need the L and the Y. No, L-E-G-A-L-L-Y. Okay. All right, so it leaves me with this. Now, if I were doing a pure chaos, oh, man, I gotta turn the fan on. It's hot as shit in here. I hope that doesn't affect the sound, but if I were doing a pure chaos sigil only ritual, you know, maybe jerk squirt into the onto it at the end or something like that, then yeah, I might use a phrase to help solidify it until I build up the energy for that, if that's the way I want to go. But I don't really need a phrase here because Pele already knows what it is, right? She already knows what I want. So I don't really need that from this, but I could do that if I wanted to do this. So what I'll do here is some of these letters are going to be the same, like N and M are pretty much going to be just about combined. I and T, L will probably be combined on there. E is going to be close with that. So now what I typically do is I just go from left to right. It really doesn't matter. I could start here. I'll just start with C, right? And maybe I want to do this, right? All right, and if I just close this up, now we've got the O, now I've got the Q, now I've got a U, now I've got an N and an M, now I've got my R, E, which means F, I, L is going to be in here, G would be there. It looks like shit, but it doesn't have to look good to work. So now I draw some other version of this that looks just a little bit better. And we'll turn that into the L. Now we've got these. And that's good enough. So we've got everything in there we need. So these are the resultant. You can see the second one's a bit better than the first, and that's fine. It'll still work. It doesn't have to be exact because it has all the stuff in it that we need. Now, if I was going to go straight chaos with it, like I said, I would empower that in some manner, and then fire it off, burn into the end, right? So what I'm going to do here with Pele's warming ritual, though, warming spell, excuse me, is now I'm going to redraw this onto here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty because Pele knows what we want. So I would, what I would do, if you haven't already called Pele like I have, then what I would do is, sorry, I'm thinking at the same time, it's not working out. I would do the sigil here like this. I would draw a circle around it to enclose the request. And that's just, you don't have to do it that way. It prefers it to me. I want it contained. I just prefer it looking that way. And then I could call Pele that way too. And with Pele, you know, you're not going to get, there are no ends for Pele. Unless somebody wants to sell you something. They may have a personal one though. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not legit either. I'm saying there are no public ones because they have a tendency to use song and dance and stories for their callings and their honorings and their version of rituals here in Hawaii. So But since we aren't Hawaiian or Polynesian, at least I'm not, that's for them to do. Because I'm not looking to encroach on them. So here's what we got. Now, if I haven't called Pele yet, then I will call Pele. I'll do a quick one here, but she's already accepted, so it's not going to be very long. But I'll typically, if I'm going to energize something with my palm, I want it to. It's part of why I have the circle. I can fit the whole thing inside my palm, right? And then I put energy into the circle, and then into the symbol itself, the sigil, and then I'll just call out Pele, Pele, Pele. And then I'll ask her to come, please come, please come, please come. And I'm not aware of any numerology things going on with the Polynesians. I don't know anything about that with them. So use the numbers that you feel are correct for you, because they may differ a bit depending on which system you typically use. And since I don't really buy into any of that, on the whole, there are some exceptions, but I'll just keep calling, and I don't have to use 3s or 4s or 1s. It doesn't have to all add up to 11 or anything like that. We're just calling Pele, Pele, please come, please come. And then if you're paying attention to the area around you, you may feel a shift, and that would indicate her presence is coming. Pretty similar to, oh, sorry about the sweat there, see, hot in here. Really, you're wanting to get her attention, and that's pretty easy to do. You may not feel like she's standing right next to you, and that's fine. You don't have to. That's not necessary. But we do need to make a request, and so I'll make mine again. Madam Pele, thank you for coming. As you know, I have a cat that is stuck in quarantine still. It will still be there from somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks. I would like this shortened legally, in a legal way, at least get the proper signatures on there, and that she can be released as soon as possible, please, so that she can come back and join the rest of us here at the household instead of being cooped up in a cage like she is. I ask this of you, Pele, and I thank you for the help that you were giving. Hail Pele. All right. If you want to ask for a sign, you can ask for a sign. If you want to use a pendulum or moon blocks or dice, tarot for a yes, no, you can do that too if you want. Usually, if you're in tune, if you've met the spirit several times, you're kind of in tune with how they feel. You'll start to pick up on different shiftings of their energy over time that'll kind of help give you your answers for things, or you'll get thoughts from them that they put in for you. Let me get something to drink here, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, so what's next? Well, with Pele's warming spell, as it's written, this candle is essentially an offering, right? So what I'm going to do is, I blood my candles. So I'm going to blood this one too, but I'm going to take and put a bunch of energy into it as an offering. And there are a lot of pros and cons to doing it. I don't really know any cons really of doing it that way, but there are definitely some pros to it. The cons would be personal. Things you just didn't like it or didn't click with you or something. But I usually just use candles for offerings. Flood them with energy, blood them, dress them with something if that's a request. I don't have anything here for that. That's appropriate for that. All my stuff's on the ocean right now. Hopefully on the ocean, but it's probably not even made there yet. But that's the candles for. So when I flood it with energy, how am I going to do that? Well, I don't necessarily want to take from my own personal vital stores, but I do collect energy daily as part of my cultivation with the Maoshan. But if I wasn't doing that, what I would do then in that case is I could well, I don't know if you want to stick this out in the sun, but you could definitely do that. But I'll do like the pour breathing technique where I'll pull in extra energy from the outside and then I'll direct it into this candle, right? And you're using, the mind directs and the will sees it through is the phrase I've used for years. So you're directing it with your mind, and then with your willpower is what you're doing. You shouldn't be straining for this, right? It'll take several breathe-ins to pull the energy in. When you exhale, instead of breathing it back out like you would for like a grounding thing, or pushing into the ground, you're going to push into the candle. So that way you're not taking from your own vitality in a way that's really sapping for you, because it shouldn't be that way as an offering, right? There are some exceptions, but let's just keep it simple. So I'll do a couple more, breathing it in, and then when I exhale, I'm directing it into the candle. Do it again. All right. Now, since this is a pretty simple act, I'm not going to spend a lot of time pumping a bunch of energy into this thing, but I am going to put a little bit more into it real quickly. Do this until you feel that you've given enough, because it's an offering, right? You're also offering the candle itself. If you're adding blood, you're offering that, which is largely, depending on the person, it can still be more than what you're putting into this candle. There are ways, but I don't need to get down tangents right now. So, there we go. All right, now, I use sterile lancets. I didn't bring my scalpel or anything like that with me, and I typically don't use the scalpel for stuff like this. Excuse me. All right. So I don't use the scalpel for stuff like this. I use it for things that are really important, like when a family member of mine had cirrhosis of the liver in their 30s, that warranted something like that to me anyways, right? So here we go. Don't hit your bone either when you're doing this. You notice this is off to the side here, right? And the sides are pretty good places to get more out of it. You can squeeze it, cajole it, but if you hit your bone, it's going to hurt a lot more, and you may not get more out of it, but you do run the risk of like infection and stuff like that. So, all right, so here, what do I do next? Well, I blood this circle, all right? Now, I typically do the sigil first, but this is a small area. It's not like I'm blooding this entire page. The stick looks like it was pretty good, so I'm still getting stuff out of it. There should be plenty enough in there. In warmer climates like this, I can use it a couple times. That's that same one, but usually if it's more than like 5 minutes, I won't do it because it's so warm here that things grow pretty quickly and it's not worth. I could afford another syringe, you know what I mean? Lancet, excuse me. All right. So what I do now is I typically draw another circle, and that's just personal preference again. But now I do my symbol for Pele, and one of the things that she had me do, and that I talked about in the book, is she had me hold my hands up like this, and it kind of looks like a mountaintop from the volcano, right? So, there we go. It doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to work. Okay, done that. We've blooded it. It's time for some fire, and then I'm gonna start pouring wax on this thing. So let me get another page underneath this, because this is the table we're using for other things. Also, it shouldn't matter, but just in case. Now, I'm getting ready to start dripping wax on this. And I'm going to start on the sigil first, and then I'm going to do this area here, then I'm going to do this area, and then I'll kind of do the rest of it as I see fit, until it gets to be about the same size as this holder, right? This holder is too large. Amazon doesn't seem to know how to sell chime candle holders anymore that actually fit chime candles, because I haven't found a good one. I've bought probably 50 of them in the past year, and none of them have fit. So I got a trick for that too. So when you go to put that in the candle, I don't want to use tin foil because it's not going to get recycled, right? It's going to have wax in it, all sorts of other stuff in it, but this will burn. And so I will use this, crumple it up, tear the extra off, and call it good. But that's then and not now. I don't have my tweezers, so when it starts to get a little warm on the fingers, then it's going to go. All right, here we go. Hail Pele, and thank you. All right. Now, it doesn't really matter which hand you use here. Some people care about that. If you do, fine. Use whatever hand you feel you should. But I'm dripping wax onto here. The hard stuff is already done. So, a little bit harder to tell when you're using red wax, but there we go. Now, if you want to cheat a little bit, because in the end we're burning this, right? It's not. The candle doesn't have to burn. It's regular length because it's not going to. Right? This paper will start acting like the wick once we start lighting this. It's not quite as clean on my little cheap barbecue grill I'm using for burning these, as I found out the other day, but it'll still work. But if you need to cheat a little bit, you can put a little breeze on it. But you'll have to move the candle faster because you don't want the wax to get too thick on a particular spot. But I do make sure I cover up all the ink from the request. And honestly, you don't have to do that either, but you can spread this out over the whole page. It doesn't really matter. It's just my personal preference. You to you. So this is a bit boring, so I will cue you back in once this is mostly complete. All right, you can see the candle's about half done. We're just kind of covering around here. The blooded area has been completely covered by this wax. I'm only able to go for so much longer on this before my fingers start to get a little toasty, and I still have to wrap that paper around this. So I should probably call it. And then also need to let the rest of this candle burn out as it will naturally. That's really not a big deal. Like we said, it's an offering, and she's still going to get it. So, all right. There we go. Snug. Good. A little bit hot. All right, here we go. Now I can still, this is snug enough that I can do this. And you're gonna wanna turn the candle if you haven't figured that out by now. But I gotta be careful because that paper's there and I don't want it going off and lighting my fingers because I actually can't burn this in here. I have to burn somewhere else. So we're gonna cut to that real quick here, and then I'll be letting this candle burn out on its own. Here we go. All right, since I don't want everybody to know the floor layout in my house, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. So I'll bring it back. All right, and welcome back. As you can see, this has already been used today. This is, as you can also see, this is wind tunnel in here, so I can't use the barbecue grill grates to keep this off the bottom like I want to. because the wax is going to fall to the bottom of the thing anyhow. So that's what we do now. See what I'm saying? All right, wind tunnel, but it's what I got. So I don't have my stainless steel mixing bowls with me, so this is gonna have to be good enough. Here, let's. Hopefully that'll be enough. This grill just does not do a very good job. There we go. All right, so now this is going to take some time to burn, actually. So not just the candle, but the wax over there too. It'll burn for quite a while. I do actually have to stand here and watch it because it's the dry part of the island. So the odds of it going anywhere but here is basically none, but all the same. So there we go. Like I said, if I had like a stainless steel mixing bowl that was deep to kind of help protect it from the wind, that would work out better than this grill. But here in this patio that's largely just enclosed by walls, they're directly open to the wind flow. There isn't much else I can do, so I'll go ahead and let this burn, but you get the idea. And that's really all it's going to take. Now you might ask about a time frame, and I don't know. So I know some of this is sometimes they'll let this stuff slide, especially with several negative rabies tests and a positive antibody test for rabies and vet documentation, which we have, but I can't speak to this specific instance, so we'll see.